I was in the Army mechanized infantry. I basically just caught the tail end of Desert Storm, and so I was immediately shipped off to Fort Hood, Texas, where I became master driver of a Bradley company. Well, actually, back then it was something comp and pen, but my father was a veteran as well. And he was talking about how he was having trouble. And so I started negotiating with them. Now, over the course of the last 20, 25 years, it turned from, whatever comp and pen to Trajector. Wasn't necessarily that I chose Trajector, but, I chose the company that became Trajector. I'm working with an all-over wellness coach, but I only see her about once a month. I got ringing in my ears. I'm a nut job, but actually that original 10% is the only thing that is rated for physical distress. Well, the room we were in was an optometry setup, but having a conversation with him, it finally jumped from 10% to 70% after one conversation. But it was all psychological. There's many, many issues that continue to this day, a lot of weakness. I can't kneel down, pick something up off the floor like a jug of milk or something like that and stand back up. I can barely kneel down and stand back out, and usually have to use assistance for it, whether it's a shelf or a desk or one of my kids or whatever. Well, I mean, the jump from 70% to 80%, it was kind of like, oh, okay. Well, at least they're acknowledging I have tinnitus. But the jump from the 10 to the 70, that almost brought me to tears. Was going through a rough time. I actually discovered that my rating had been increased while we were sitting at the welfare office trying to get signed up for Medicaid and maybe some food stamps. My wife had been diagnosed with cancer. We actually spent several months with her just as a talking head. It almost brought me to tears because we were hurting right then and there. If I hear them talking about it and they're grousing about, oh yeah, I'm sitting at 5%. I have been for the last 30 years, blah, 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 blah. I'll very politely interject myself into the conversation. And it's like, hey, I use these guys, and I'll give them your name and everything like that. I'll make sure and write it down.